There's a time and place for top-down or linear approaches. There's a time and place for segmented or domain-specific compartmentalization. But today, I'm making the case for a different approach when it comes to you and your own evolution and mastery. Stay with me. Do you know how an aspen grove actually works? From the outside, it looks like a collection of individual trees. There's separate trunks, separate bodies, each one standing on its own, shaped by the elements. But beneath the surface, it's something entirely different. It's a single organism. One root system spreading outward and sending up thousands of shoots. What happens to one part of the grove doesn't stay there. It moves through the entire system. Nutrients, stress signals, adaptations, DNA, all of it is shared. The intelligence of the grove lives underground in the connection, not in the individual trunks alone. Mycelium works the same way. A vast network of fungal threads moving through the soil, invisible to the eye, but they're linking trees, plants, entire ecosystems together. It distributes resources where they're needed or reroutes energy. It carries information. The forest isn't then operating as isolated units competing for survival. It's functioning as a connected system that's constantly adjusting in relationship to itself. And look, you're going to see it with bees, with ant colonies, with any system that actually works at this like higher order kind of connectivity. The intelligence isn't located in one single unit. It's in the network between, in the way that everything communicates, responds, and organizes as a whole. And here's what's really easy to miss, especially as a modern human. You operate that way too. Your body isn't a collection of separate parts waiting to be managed individually. Your neural network, your fascia, your nervous system, the way your attention and your breath and your structure organize together, all of it is interconnected. The way we operate with one another is connected. It's relational. It's constantly processing everything in relationship to everything else. This is why you can't be siloed, because you are structurally and biologically a network. You are an extension of the same principles that run the natural world, which makes something about the way that we are taught to approach life deeply off. Somewhere along the line, my guess is in the industrial model, we were taught segmentation. You're handed like a set of categories and you're told to divide yourself accordingly. Wealth goes over here, money work goes over here, we work on our health over here, we gotta somehow work on relationships and that's over here. And now pick one. Focus on it, improve it, then move to the next and try to keep them all in balance. And people spend years trying to make that work, trying to juggle parts of themselves as if they exist independently, as if progress in one area can be isolated from everything else. And what they end up with is a constant sense of friction. Like gains in one place, it's like breakdowns in the other. Movement that never really integrates. Because that approach, that segmented compartmentalization, it's working against the natural system you actually are. You're not a series of compartments and categories. You're a single organism expressing itself across multiple domains. When you start treating yourself that way, something shifts that No amount of segmented effort touches. You stop trying to optimize pieces and you start working at the source, the root of it all. And that's where things get interesting, because everything that you create and express and interact with in the world, it carries your imprint. Whether it is your work, your art, your relationships, your leadership, it all reflects the structure of the system it came from, your consciousness. The same tendencies will show up, the same contortions, the same blind spots, the same strengths, the same unforgettable imprints, the same patterns of expansion and contraction. You can see it clearly once you know what to look for. For example, someone builds a business, and the communication patterns inside that business, they mirror the way that that individual handles tension within their own body. Business is just an amplification of the signal and the source within. This has been the premise of my work for over 15 years. Another example, someone moves through relationships with a certain rhythm, and that rhythm shows up then in how they make decisions, how they create, how they communicate under pressure. Nothing is isolated. What you create is you, just expressed through different mediums, which means you're not one variable among many to manage in little categories. You are the variable everything else depends on. History has always pointed to this, even if we don't recognize it in the moment. The people who leave a mark aren't the ones who neatly divide themselves into categories and optimize each one separately. They're the ones who transcend freaking categories, the ones who develop themselves, the source root, the signal so deeply that their work becomes an extension of that depth of expression. This moves me deeply. For example, Da Vinci, he didn't operate in isolated lanes. His understanding of anatomy informed his painting. His study of water shaped his engineering. His observation of birds influenced his thinking on flight. Everything fed everything else, like mycelium, like aspen forests, because he was functioning as a connected system, not a segmented one. You get me? This is so cool. For example, another favorite of mine, Tesla processed reality in a way that was almost entirely internal, visual, sensory. He could run full experiments in his mind. Yeah, we're capable of this as people, by the way. It's trainable. But he could run full experiences in his mind, refining them with such detail that by the time he built something physically, it was already complete in his system. That kind of output doesn't come from managing categories and this like suburban self-growth bullshit. It comes from a highly developed internal network. Another one of my favorites, Carl Jung. He went so far into his own psyche that what he found became a map for others. Steve Jobs built products that reflected his own relationship to simplicity, beauty, control, and experience. Frida Kahlo's work was inseparable from her physical and emotional reality, even her relational reality. Maya Angelou's voice carried the weight of her lived experience in a way that could not be replicated. None of them were trying to balance parts of their life. They went so much deeper into the system itself, their signal, their source, and how to express and bring into form in all ways from that place. As that system, that source becomes more refined, more coherent, more expressed. What they carried and what they created, it left this different kind of imprint on culture and the world itself. That is how anything truly meaningful gets shaped. It doesn't come from following what's already established. It doesn't come from being given a list, like a pie chart of how to optimize yourself. It comes from developing your own signal, your own connection to that signal, and the body that can hold it as the vessel, to the point where expression, your power expressed into form, becomes inevitable. And what you create reflects something that wasn't there before and will never be there again. You can't think your way into that kind of change. You can't separate your development into clean categories and expect the result to be and feel integrated. You have to train the system underneath. You have to work with the network, the source itself, and the way that your body organizes in expression under power when things matter to you, in the edges of limits, the way your attention moves, the way that your breath supports or disrupts what you're doing. All of it interacts in real time. That is a different skill entirely. And it's one that you can master. It's what we do, and it's the foundation of everything we do inside the Prestige. This is not a program that focuses on one area of your life to optimize at a time. The environments that we create are designed to engage your entire system simultaneously. The events, they function as mind-body somatic simulators, which means you're placed into conditions where your patterns are gonna show up across the regulators, structure, breath, attention, your behavior all at once. In that way, you're not thinking about change. You're experiencing it, you're adapting it, your attention in real time, and you're expanding your capacity as a system. The way that we hold coaching circles in the Prestige works the same way. It doesn't isolate a single domain and then try to, advise it or fix it. It works directly on you, the source point, your architecture, your signal, your ability to stay organized and express clearly under pressure. Now, that doesn't mean that members don't bring real challenges within their business or real creative projects that mean the world to bring into form in the world. They bring those things and we'll support them with that. But we're also working always at the layer underneath. Who is the you that can bring those things into reality the way that you want them with power? Because when that changes, everything you touch also begins to change with it. All right, this is obviously something I'm passionate about. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Please do consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out. It encourages us to keep sharing passionately with you. And I'll see you next time.